Hi, my name is Tommy and welcome back for part 3. So when we left we had all the parts for the ukulele, and all I was missing basically was the tuning pegs. So I went out and I tried to find some ukulele tuners, and they were pretty hard to find, and I ended up stumbling on those used, I guess they're Gibson style tuners, and they were like pretty cheap, so I decided to go with them. So for a ukulele we need only 4 of them, and we're gonna start by putting some holes in the peg head right away.
So the first thing I want to do is make a pilot hole. I'm using a 1/16 bit and I go straight through. And here I'm using my caliper, and that's gonna give me the size of the bushing. So I'm drilling halfway on this side, and then on the other side I'm gonna measure again the size of the post, and I'm gonna use a bit to drill the other side, and that's gonna line up my tuner and the bushings. Now that I've made the holes in the peg head, I can go ahead and do the glue up of the neck to the body. And here, before I apply the clamping, I'm making sure that my 3 alignment lines are lining up.
So for the finish I want to use a shellac. So this one is an amber. The first one was made out of those shellac flakes, and the one I want to do is this one. That's an amber color, and I've never used it. So what I'll do, I'll prepare it right away, and it takes about 2 days to soak in the natural's alcohol. So by the time I'm done building the ukulele, I should be ready to use this shellac to apply on.
To make a 2-pound cut ratio, there's measurements like a weight and quantity of solvent that you want to use. So what I'm doing is I'm processing the flakes so they take a bit less time to dissolve, and I'm going to be adding the denaturalized alcohol after. All the measurements comes with usually the shellac that you purchase, so it's an easy to follow setup.
So after a few pass in this little contraption, which is just little leather straps, I'm just pulling lightly, and slowly the arc's actually coming into the fret wire.
So now that the fret wire has a radius that's closer to the radius of the fretboard, I'm cutting the lengths, and then one by one I'll be hammering them in so that they sit as far in as they can, and then I'll be cutting the excess on both sides. And when the excess is closer, what I'll do is just use a file and file them flat, and then when they're flat, I'll just give it like a 30-degree, like I'm doing right now, and just create a little bevel on the edge there. Here I'm creating the opening for the saddle. It's going to be a bone saddle, so I'm just creating the opening deep enough for it to sit down, and this is going to be the saddle. So like I said, it's a piece of bone, and I'm creating a little radius on top. Here I'm cutting some grooves in the bridge, so I'll be able to attach the strings for the ukulele. Here in this part, what I'm doing is I'm doing the glue up for the fretboard. I'll leave a little space at the front. You can see I put the nut in there, and I'll make sure that it sits all the way down once the fretboard is secured, and that way I'm gonna be sure I'll be able to put the nut back in when it's time to put the nut in. Also, because of the pitch, I'm gonna have to, you see that little piece of the fretboard extending, there's a bit of a gap there, and that always happens because it's the pitch of the neck, there's an angle, so basically I just added another clamp there just to bring it down. So I skipped ahead a bit, so basically what I've done is I sanded from 120 to 400, and then I applied the shellac that I mix, so this one here. And now what I'm doing is I'm French polishing, so I already have the first coat of French polishing, and I'm gonna start putting sorry, I'm gonna start putting the second one. So I'm starting the third coat of French polishing. Starting the fourth coat. So this is the fifth coat. So this is how it looks after the sixth session of French polishing. As you can see, like, we're starting to have a nice kind of sheen on it. There's still some areas that need some work around the edges, but overall, like, I'm starting to have quite the nice finish. So I'm gonna skip ahead because you don't really want to see all the coats being applied. So I'll get back to you when it's time to do the wet sanding. So I've got 10 coats of French polish, and now it's time to do the wet sanding. So I'm going to be using some 1000 grit wet sandpaper, and then what I'm going to be applying on for the wet part is some oil. So that's just olive oil. Make sure there's some everywhere. Then I'm going to use my sandpaper and just start sanding. So what I want to do is get rid of the high spots. Don't want to be too aggressive. At the same time, using a 1000 grit sandpaper, I'm going to have to sand a bit more than if I would use a coarser grit, but the mark left behind are going to be smaller. And I'm going to do the whole instrument like that. So I just finished sanding, the wet sanding. As you can see, there's no more shine into it. So hopefully with the camera angle you'll be able to see that as soon as I start applying that coat of French polish, the finishing coat, that it's turning shiny again. So basically what's happening right now is that all the little scratch that my 1000 grit sandpaper made are getting filled up with shellac again. Then I'm gonna apply a few coats like that, and then I'll get back to you guys. So this is a shot after the last finishing coat of French polish. You can see the little bottle of shellac reflecting in the soundboard. So I'm pretty happy with the French polishing that I've done on it. All I needed for the French polish is what's missing in the bottle. So that did the whole ukulele, all the coats. So basically there's 10 coats of building up, and then there's the wet sanding, and then there was 4 more coats of finishing. So here I'm using a black marker to create a reference mark. Once I go over with the radius block and the sandpaper, I can actually find the high spots. If they're really high, I can use my fretting hammer and just hammer them down, and then the other ones I can even everything out with this piece of aluminum and the sandpaper. Those will leave flat spots, so I go after that with a fretting file, which is this side is the coarse side of it, and it recreates the crown on each fret. Then I'll go over with the other side of the file, which is a fine side, which is going to refine the frets. Once that's done, I use some steel wool to polish the frets, and then I'll be able to remove that tape to able to condition the fretboard. So the fretboard conditioner is an oil basically that's gonna protect the wood from your fingers or like the moisture you have in your hands and stuff, and it's gonna help the fretboard to stay healthier. Now I'm getting ready for the bridge glue up, so I'm stacking a bunch of pieces of tape just to create some height, and then I'll trace down the bridge shape onto that stack of tape, and then that's going to create like a little edge where my bridge won't be able to slide around when I put clamping pressure on it. Here I'm matching the curvature or basically the soundboard to the bridge. I'm making sure that my scale is right, and then I'll be putting that tape that I've created, and then I'll remeasure to make sure that it's at the proper place. Now, to be able to have a good bond, we have to remove the French polish that we applied. So I have to use a little chisel, and then I cleaned up all the shellac that was there. I used some coarse sandpaper and created some scratch onto the soundboard as well, and onto the bridge, and that's going to help a lot for the bond. So I've waited about 10 minutes, and the glue is starting to get harder. So what I'm going to do, because I want to do the cleanup of the glue, and I didn't want the bridge to slide, so now what I'm going to do is just take that paper off, and that's going to be my cleanup at the same time, most of it anyway. Everything else should be pretty easy to remove after that. And I'm gonna let it dry overnight. While the bridge glue is setting, I decided I was going to go ahead and put the nut as well, so by the time tomorrow comes around, everything's going to be ready for setup. So before we go ahead and hear the ukulele, I thought I would put a few still shot of the finished ukulele, so like a little bit of eye candy, so you can have a better appreciation of the whole instrument. So there you have it. The ukulele is fully completed. So we have a nice little ukulele, and I think it looks pretty nice for a 2x4. I want to thank you guys for sticking around for the whole series. I was expecting to do the whole thing in one video, but as you know, it turned out to be a bit more. But I'm actually surprised about how it sounds. So here, have a little listen. So I'm not a ukulele player, but I learned a little chord progression, so I'll play that for you guys. Please excuse my ukulele playing.
2x4 ukulele. So thanks again for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. It's going to be the summer time, so the video might be spaced a bit more because I do want to do some stuff with family and stuff. But there will be more video coming up, and thanks for everybody that shared the videos, and thanks for liking and commenting, and please do comment. Like, I really want to know what you guys think of this project. I'm actually pleasantly surprised because the ukulele, the 2x4 was like $3, the tuners were about 20, and then the string 7, so it's a $30 ukulele, and I'm pretty happy with it. So thanks again for watching, like I said, and I'll see you guys next time. Now I wonder if I could get a tenor ukulele out of a 2x6.